if you're a basketball player and you want to jump lower and get more hurt, follow the tips that we're about to give you guys.
Here's the single worst brief podcast on what not to do if you want to be a worse athlete. What not to do. What to do if you want to be a worse athlete. There we go. That's what I meant to say. So we have Ben here. Ben played basketball in college, so he has a very unique experience here. He's also a soon-to-be doctor of physical therapy. So we often bounce ideas off of him and see if our recommendations that we give to, that we like to follow, as Isaiah and I were talking about earlier, are in line with, what he's learning in school. I think it's good to have peer reviewers like that who are honest with you and give you good feedback. And Ben does that a lot for us. So we're happy to have him on the team. So Ben, you were the one that really were like, this is really grinding my gears. Some of the stuff that you see. So what are you seeing that you're like, yeah, this is stuff that you should not be doing and is a waste of your time?
God, there's so much. There's so much bad info out there for the basketball specific strength and conditioning. That's a myth. There is no basketball specific S&C. Like it's just we have to get you stronger, more powerful, and faster,
And
and
this kind of
jumping
goes
higher.
into, this kind of goes into what Thomas Kortenbeck always used to say, which is like that there are levels of or degrees of separation between what you're trying to do on the court, specifically on the track, is what he says. And what you don't want to do is try to make the weight room the court or the track. That is one of the biggest mistakes. And I think that this is a common error in basketball S&C, specifically at the high school level or private training level. I don't think a lot of collegiate weight room coaches have that problem. Like if you're a collegiate weight room coach and you listen to this, kudos to you. Hats off to you. You probably do a really good job. I don't see a lot of bad training on the internet when it comes to, I don't see a lot of bad training from collegiate coaches in strength and conditioning who work with basketball players. Honestly, a lot of the time it's pretty robust. So sometimes it means a little bit more volume or they have their plate full, especially at like programs where they're managing multiple teams. In my experience, those guys are really kind of overworked at smaller schools. If you're at like Duke or UNC, you have a full performance team for your individual team because you're probably bringing in millions and millions of dollars. But especially at the private level, the private sector, where money is made on novelty, meaning if I can convince you that this really kind of seemingly unique exercise is to your benefit, then you're going to sign up and work with me, or you're going to sign up for sessions, or you're going to sign up for my coaching. That's kind of the name of the game in the private sector, is to convince kids, college kids or post-college kids, that doing some insert the new exercises we're about to talk about, are valuable. So what are some ones that you guys have seen where you kind of look at it and you're like, yeah, this is some grade A BS. This is some straight cow manure. And you want to throw some tomatoes and shoot some spitballs at it. What are you guys thinking of? What comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is some of like the kind of the twitchy stuff and the ladder drills that you see hoopers doing or trainers doing. And I'm
Wait, you
not
don't like
saying
ladder
it's,
drills, dog?
God, it's so annoying because
What are
they
you talking
do it
about? Like
with the
collegiate? You're talking
notion
about like,
that, oh, this is going to make you jump higher and be more agile and be faster, but it's really just kind of a fancy warm up. And like in general, like there's no adaptation there. Doing a going pitter pattering out of a ladder doesn't make you better at putting your
is that
foot
still
in
a
the
thing?
ground and cutting and actually like there's no eccentric force in a ladder
Yeah.
drill. Like
Is
it's
that still
just
a
how
thing?
fast can you.
Is that still a thing? People still do that?
One of
Oh, dude,
our
we warmed up. We did
really
like 20 minutes of ladders in college, bro. It's at my
What?
JUCO. Yes, it was every practice we warmed up with ladders with the notion that it was going to be help our agility, but we didn't actually do any hard cutting or
That's diabolical.
sprint 5 yards and stop. Just like
I think this is
stuff
like
that would actually work.
well documented too. I mean, there's really no strong rationale for it helping. And if you look at the evidence related to low force, I mean, it's really a repositioning drill. It's similar to like air boxing. You're just moving your limbs with no force, body weight, and very, very low forces. And you're not seeing, like you said, Ben, no, you really don't see eccentric forces. Really don't see it's significant stretch shortening cycles. It's just repositioning exercises, which I will say this. If you're, for example, I'm trying to think of like a good example of this. If you're a kid and you lack general coordination, right? Okay. This will challenge you. This will teach you to do some different rhythms. Maybe it teaches you to reposition your body slightly. But as far as an adaptation to your nervous system in terms of like motor recruitment or tendon stiffness or rate of force development, you're really not seeing anything significant happen there, which, okay, that's fine if you use it as a warm-up because it's different and fun and maybe it makes you feel better. Like, it is technically, you look at rate coding, there's probably something happening there, but and maybe that makes you feel a little bit better. For me, it was in high school was knockout. Every time I played knockout and I'm like racing someone to get the ball in the hoop faster, you are getting high eccentric forces, especially if you're like me and I can't shoot. So I just yeet it off the backboard, catch it off one step off 1 foot and just do a layup. Made me quite undefeated in knockout, except for the guys that were draining threes or like unbeatable in free throws. That tend to do a good job of warming me up. But when it comes to, the ladder drills, it's definitely not, going to be ideal for adaptation. You saw this on Instagram recently or what?
Yeah, it's on Instagram, and it's not even just like a ladder, but just doing a bunch of kind of like fast feet drills.
Give me like a specific example, because I'm just in my head, I just have a ladder visualized.
So, well, there's ladders. There's the ones where you have kind of those slant boards, and then they're just doing pitter pattering off a slant board. And
like where it's like slant board,
like the
and then
it's boards. And I'm not saying it's not a bad warm up.
Step.
Yeah, yes, and it's a good warm up. And then, like John said, there's a solid coordination piece. But if you think that that's the primary driver of making you more agile, or
is that gonna let me just absolutely jaw Morant, head at rim, elbow in the rim, dunk on Wembanyama? Is that gonna let me dunk on Wembanyama?
Yeah, no, it's doing nothing. That would be pet peeve number one. Number two would be I don't know if this is a hot take, but some of the contrast training that hoopers do is freaking terrible.
Give me an example.
They just contrast. For instance, they'll contrast like a 20-pound dumbbell jump with like an assisted jump with a small band. Like they'll contrast something fast with something slightly faster, but they have no real max strength work or real power work in any of their programs. Like, when's the last time that I couldn't tell you? Oh wait,
so you're, because like French contrast, from what I read back in the day with Mr.
But it's not
Smith,
French contrast. It's
that's what I was saying. Like, I'm familiar with French contrast or complexes where you're actually getting like phosphorylating myosin heavy chains, where it's something really, really heavy, really intense, and then you're trying to potentiate it with something like a plyo. That's traditionally how I was educated on it. But in French contrast, you're getting that at like 4 layers, to my understanding, where it's crazy heavy with something slightly faster, like strength, speed, and then something. I think a good example of one that I used to do was I would do an iso press, then I would go to I think standing bounds, and then I would go to a barbell squat jump, and then I would go to a really elastic plyo like stiffness hops. That was like a one I think I did maybe back in the day, that I came up with in 2017 based off what I saw. I've tested it, never really saw anything crazy from it, by the way. I'm not going to get into that. But you're saying this is like going from lightly loaded barbell jump, like less than the barbell, to even less than stiffness hop levels of output.
Yeah, it's like, it's so, I mean, and this is the program that I was doing in high school. I won't name any names, but it's like you're just doing a glorified weighted jump, and then you're doing, an assisted jump, but you're not even doing an intense plyo. You're not doing any max strength. Like, it's not a true French contrast or really a true complex training. It's
so
just
what do you
think?
Do you think there were high forces in the squat jumps though, like the dumbbell squat jumps? I mean, you got to generate force.
I mean, for a 15-year-old, maybe, but it's not. It doesn't really push the needle, because
What were the claims? What were the claims of this specific exercise? What was it meant to do?
Oh, well, increase your rate of force development, increase your power, just the typical like, oh, this will make you jump higher. You'll jump higher by doing, 40 total pounds or 20 pounds in each hand, and jump up 4 or 5 times, and then rest a minute, go in, and then go do some some assisted jumps.
So
And
what do
then
you
let's repeat
think
that 4
in
times.
terms of?
It's crazy, like
Yeah, go ahead.
it's crazy hearing that stuff. 'Cause I literally never. I would buy jump programs and then see what's in it, but like it's crazy hearing that, and then I was over here freaking jumping for 3 hours all over him, and then
Yeah,
going to the
I
weight
did
room
everything but
probably,
that.
like yeah, that stuff grinds my gears, and the it's what John said. It's like it's just novelty is what looks different. And I think when you're seeing that with like NBA players or like pro basketball players, it's wild that to be a successful trainer, you almost need that novelty. Like me and John we had an experience with an NBA player. We had an
Unnamed.
opportunity. We had an opportunity to go train an NBA player. Like we're talking like we had the power to basically do whatever we wanted if we had so chosen to, and we could have easily been like, yeah, we'll use this novel stimulus and we'll teach you this jump technique and jump higher. Like we could have talked it up and we would have been working with this guy full time. Like
It would have sounded like this. Oh, dude, I know exactly what's going to fix your gut issue. So here's what we're going to do first. First, we're going to have you eat straight mealworms every day. And what they're going to do is they're going to go in there and they're going to eat that biological buildup in your body so that we can detox. Then after that, we're going to do a brief cayenne pepper cleanse where all you'll do for 3 days is drink water and cayenne pepper. And that should completely take care of all of the acidity in your gut. Then what we'll do after clearing all of your gut issues is you can do everything what you're doing on the court, and we're actually going to train you to a different level. We're going to make you a different athlete by getting your muscles even stiffer and better and bigger and stronger than they ever were. We're going to take advantage of carb loading every other day so that we're able to maximize that. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to implement specific change of direction drills on a Bosu ball, where we're going to go on a Bosu ball and do different taps on one leg. And then we're going to go to a side bound with a basketball in your hand into an explosive two-handed dunk. And what that's going to do is it's going to increase your power on the court in a really specific way.
John,
and then they would have been like, they would have just been like,
ate it up.
oh my God, yeah,
That's
tell me more.
exactly like the guy that I was
don't forget
working with
the
had
drills,
paragraphs of
running
that.
drills.
What's
He had
that?
paragraphs of rationale behind, okay, this is what we're doing this month. And it sounded exactly like that.
That's crazy.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
why this is gonna sound bad. Mind you, if you're a basketball player and you listen to this, sign up. We'll get you better with stuff that actually works. But I have completely given up the battle for basketball players. Like just
Why? It's just,
mentally,
pointless.
I'm just like, because so many guys, like take the guy that came up to us yesterday, right?
Oh, by the way,
had
shout
knee
out
pain.
Chad. I have to say this because he commented and I felt bad. Chad, this was not solely the experience with you. If you're listening to this, no, we appreciated what you said. We enjoyed talking with you and your dad. It was nothing related to that specifically. Maybe what you said when you're like, I don't even know what THP is, which made me giggle. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that if you are listening to this, Chad, we love you, Chad.
Yeah, but a lot of times, I'm gonna take a page out of my dad's book. With basketball players, something goes in one ear and then out the other. And I don't know what needs to change. Like, I think it's part of it's like an obsession. Of it's the on court stuff. Too much on court stuff, and then you have really big Instagram pages of trainers that keep feeding the machine of basketball. And I have this story. I can't name names, and I can't wait till I can talk about this. But I saw a basketball player have a dunk session, and they went in. I'm talking. I walked into the gym, and they were doing a max effort jump. Like I got there probably a minute after they did, and I walked in. They were doing a max effort jump, and I was like, "Bro, how are you like doing this?" And then they were just like, "Oh no, it's an easy dunk." Blah blah blah.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
And that's when I realized the guys that make it to the top in the basketball world are the most resilient genetic freaks. Like genetic freaks in terms of resiliency. It's the guys that were able to survive years of the most insane hyper specific stuff on top of all their playing volume. This is the guy that went through the system, right? Like the freaking AAU, college, NBA, playing every single day, doing workouts every single day, like like specific jump workouts on top of that. Not a twinge of knee pain, nothing. No PF, like just feeling freaking perfect. And that's why they're in the NBA. And yeah, like it sucks because I think of like how many like freaks could be in the NBA if they actually trained well.
So
Kind of
many.
crazy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. All right, so Isaiah, give me. All right, so that's one example that you've had where you kind of were like, yeah, maybe this isn't the best. Can you guys hear me? By the way, it says my audio is maybe a little quiet.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Sounds okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Isaiah, what is an example specifically of something that you saw on someone's platform out there in the internet verse that really grinded your gears, as I like to say? It just fired you up.
Banded defensive slides.
I don't think those are that bad, though. Well, okay, wait a minute. What was the goal of that?
I don't know. They just put it in a video.
Okay, all right. So I will say this: I actually don't mind them as an early season, off season change. Actually, even in season, because it's so general. Like you're getting resisted lateral movement. It's okay. I don't mind that. It's not the worst. As long as you have crazy grip, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to like put that in my guy's program, but like if you want to do that, go ahead. I mean, I've done resisted penultimate step stuff with volleyball players to try to get them to understand. It didn't work super well, but I've tried it. And there's rationale. Like I could look at that and be like, at least there's rationale here. Like as long as you're trying as hard as possible.
What about resisted 2-ball dribbling drills?
Oh, that's diabolical. Yeah, no, that's you know what that's going to make you better at? Resisted 2-ball dribbling. Now, I will say this for that, at least it's an isometric. You probably could get some function of an ISO there if the band's
I'm talking they're walking,
like
the walking one.
Yeah,
they're like walking, like there's a guy like this.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Again, I would never put this in anyone's program if they were like, I want to get more athletic. No. And this kind of goes back to what you were saying is one of the big problems with team sport athletes is that they want to feel like what they're doing is valuable, because if it doesn't look like their sport, they don't deem it as carrying any weight. And to their credit, they probably got to where they are at a really high level by having a ball in their hand or at a ball of their foot. All right. Kudos to you. You can have that. Hats off to you. But did you coast there through your genetics and your ability, or did you develop your way there? I don't think many people at this stage in the universe, or the history of the universe, the history of the world, develop their way up to the elite level. Oftentimes, they probably skilled their way or genetic their way to the elite level. If you're 5'6" and you've got a 55-inch or 52-inch vertical and you can drain threes from all over the court, you're not getting a lick of playing time. Okay? You want to know why? Because you're 5'6". It's not going to happen. 5'5". It's not going to happen. You know, and I think we see that pretty frequently. And it's just like a size thing at that point. Again, that would be an example of the genetic, like height-wise. But I think you also see it on the other end of things where you can skill weigh your way to the top. Like if I'm a 6'2", 6'3" guard and I can make threes at like 50%, well, you know, whatever. I'm 50% from the field behind the arc with a hand in my face, without a hand in my face from the NBA 3-point line. I'm probably going to get a lot of time on the court. And if I'm consistent, if I don't go through streaks of highs and lows, but like the coach knows when I put you in, you're going to get 3 threes and you're going to shoot 70% from behind the arc and you're not a defensive liability. Yeah, dude, you're probably going to be all right. Probably going to be
though. There's an athletic, let's take the NBA. Is there an athleticism minimum to be able to be in the NBA? Like you have to be able to dunk.
I think
you have
so.
to be able to dunk.
No, I don't think it's dunking per se. I don't think it's like dunking is the metric I would use, because like they probably. That's a good question. Let's just attack that question.
I think dunking is indicative of a bunch of other metrics.
I was gonna say if you can't dunk, like they've got bigger fish to fry. But I don't know. I mean, look at like, could Isaiah Thomas dunk?
Yeah, you can windmill.
Yeah, he was like
all right. Well, I mean, it was an honor. Hey, don't look at me, bro. I was just asking. You're not gonna beat me up about it.
I was about to be offended.
Idiot.
Look up Isaiah Thomas college dunk contest. You'll be amazed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right. Okay, all right. So let me just try to think of some out. Oh, there's a kid in the G League, the little 5'6" kid from Japan or China.
5'8". He's 5'8". And I
Okay,
bet you he could dunk
5'8".
off a lob.
You think so?
Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Japanese NBA player.
Does he play for like Memphis?
Yeah,
I
5'8".
think he did. Yeah.
Yuki
Yeah. Oh,
Kawamura.
Yuki Kawamura. Yeah, Yuki Kawamura. Let's see if he can dunk. Someone find if he can dunk. Yeah, this is like the Jamie. Pull up Yuki Kawamura.
I think I found.
dunking.
Hold up. I think I might have found. It's on TikTok, man.
Oh, I got one.
He dunks.
Here, no, he just drains a three. This is the most clickbait thing I've ever seen in my life. He literally just shot a three, but it said he was dunking. I don't think he's dunking, bro. I don't think that he's dunking. Maybe he is, but I would be surprised. Point guard, that's what they call him. So there you go. There's an example. He played in the NBA properly, and he can't dunk. So there are outliers. It exists. But I will say this: he probably has the potential to dunk. Like if he really wanted to, we
he
could
doesn't
probably
want to train for it.
No, I mean I agree, but again,
Yeah.
that's like skill weighing yourself into the league. Like if you can throw absolute dimes from anywhere on the court and you don't turn the ball over, like I don't know what his role was. I think his role was to like not turn the ball over. I think his role was to shoot threes, but he's a defensive liability. Dude, if Wembanyama is like, that's the problem. That's what I was going to say. I don't necessarily think that dunking in and of itself is, you probably have to be capable of dunking, because what that means is you're tall enough where you're not a defensive liability. That's my personal lens. I think that you probably have to be like, if you want to get some consistent playing time, like Steph Curry can windmill, but like, dude, he's kind of doo-doo. Like he does not jump high. Like I don't look at Steph Curry and I'm like, wow, dude, what an athlete. But when you watch him play defense, dude, he can move laterally really well. Like really, really well. His change of direction is crazy. And
but I still think dunking it's like what I was saying. It's like indicative of other abilities. That still is. You got to realize most people can't dunk. Like 99.9% of people in the planet can't dunk. Most people that play basketball can't dunk. Like your average person playing basketball.
So you're saying that if you want to go to the league and you can't dunk, you're not going to the league.
Yeah, because it's indicative of being able to apply force into the ground, which you have to do when you run, when you move laterally.
It's all triple extension.
And even though to our standards, just being able to do a one-hander or two-handers isn't very good, it's still enough to like be able to apply forces to move laterally and keep up with the average person in the NBA, right? Like in the NBA, people are longer and faster and more physical.
But Isaiah Thomas can't dunk. No, I'm just kidding. Isaiah was like, I'm going to punch you in the face.
and it's probably not even dunking is the wrong question. It's probably like a certain vertical, because like Yuki Kawamura, he probably has a pretty high vertical compared to NBA players that allows him to move laterally and be quick.
No, yeah. And all, I think so.
So
excuse me.
I do think I think the real question is, if you're an athlete that can't dunk naturally, that doesn't have the genetic abilities, are you able, in addition to all the basketball training that you have to do, all the skill work to be skilled enough, are you able to still get to that point? Like, is that possible?
I don't know. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. I hope so. Look at Ben. Ben's like, yeah, dude, I was a doo-doo athlete.
What's the blueprint? Ben, give us the blueprint. Like, if I'm going to give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
You're a 14-year-old kid.
6'2".
You're a 14-year-old kid. You're decently, let's say you still have to, let's say 13, 14. You just started. Are we saying in this scenario that you've been playing basketball, or are you also having to?
Yeah, you grew up playing basketball.
Yeah, background.
You're good. You have like high upside.
So you grew up.
You're
so you're
tall,
you're decently
young.
skilled. You're decently skilled, but you have to get more skilled. Let's say you're not skilled enough to play in college. You're not very athletic. What's the blueprint to get college offers and get athletic enough to compete like D1?
Yeah, like given that you have the positional size, because that's probably the biggest thing.
That's what I was going to say.
Like Luke is not very athletic, but he is a 6'8" point guard. So it's
I do want to say
that-
this. Have you looked at his eccentric RFD values?
Okay,
though?
yeah,
'Cause
he has
they're
really good
insane.
deceleration, but he has really good whatever 90th
Yeah, Ben.
percentile
Put some
for decel.
respect on his name.
But I still think if he would jump higher, all of his metrics would go up. Like if he would
What's
train,
funny,
become more
he
athletic,
used to-
obviously.
he used to post like dunk videos on YouTube and stuff when he was
Did he
young.
No
really?
way.
I didn't
So
know that.
I think he probably, I bet you he has high eccentric RFD because he jumped a lot like as a kid. Like
I think he's capable of it, but he's just right now he's just not very lean. Like he was like 260 in the offseason or something crazy like that. He was,
or imagine he got to 10% body fat.
yeah, if he got to 10% body fat and then changed some things with his training, because I've seen his training is kind of doo-doo, he would be a lot more athletic for sure. But
Yeah.
I don't know if he has the discipline for it yet. We'll
But
see.
what's the blueprint? What was the blueprint?
Okay, the blueprint. Well, it's
athlete?
really just I think some hoopers think that, I can either be skilled or I can either be athletic. But you can be both, and you can develop both concurrently. But you just have to understand that the athleticism is going to just take a little bit longer to develop. Like, obviously, if you just locked in on just doing jump training, then you'll see substantial progress every year by, initially maybe jumping every day and then getting on a good strength and conditioning program, getting stronger, getting more powerful, all that fun stuff, surfing the curve and whatnot. But you can still get more skilled and get more athletic, but you just have to make sure that you put time into both. Like I always said, what's your priority? If you want to get more athletic, then that's probably the first thing you do today. Like you wake up, get your breakfast, and then you do your performance training, and then later in the afternoon, get some rest, and then you do and then you do your skill training. But your skills will probably increase exponentially more than your athleticism, but that doesn't mean to quit doing your training just because your vert did increase by a foot in a year, like some jump programs claim. But you just gotta be patient with it. But if you develop your strength, like if you get to a 2x plus body weight squat, if you get to a 1.5x clean, you're gonna be freaking athletic. If you're lean and a decent body weight, like there's no way you won't dunk, especially if you're 6 foot plus.
In high school, I played basketball every single day. And I think a big reason I improved a lot more in terms of vertical compared to my peers, and I don't really talk about this that much, but I took the weight room super seriously in high school. When I was in high school, I remember we had morning workouts.
Are you sure it just wasn't genetics?
We had 5 a.m. morning workouts, and I loved lifting. I learned how to power clean. I took it. We had guys on our team that were like, just sticking to the 25s. They were like half asleep in the 5 a.m. workouts. I was in there basically maxing out my power clean every single time I went in there. I was squatting ass to grass because I read somewhere that squatting ass to grass is good.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed for you.
And all
you just go in there, you max out your power clean and deep squat.
And I was watching all the Olympic weightlifters, and I was going in there again, maxing it out, trying to see, basically failing at the end of all my sets versus the guys that were half-assing it. Then when we were having basketball practice, in between drills, I was trying to dunk on layups. I was jumping as high as I can on the layup. When we would go do conditioning outside, I was trying to beat everybody on the sprints. And I actually just took it serious, max intent, and then did the big compound lifts, learned the proper lifting technique. And it wasn't, I was following my workouts, like the workouts that they put on the piece of paper. And I think most guys don't do that. I think most guys half-ass it, and then they go on Instagram trying to find a jump exercise and go do some pointless ladder drill or like the complex that you said, like, and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and they program hop. They're just not consistent. Like their vertical that doesn't go up by 6 inches in 8 weeks, so they just hop off the program and then start a new one. They just keep spending money, but they have no consistency in their life with training. They have no well thought out longitudinal training. I fell into that trap. I was definitely a program hopper when I was in high school, and I just did a bunch of pointless.
You still are a program hopper. Let it be known.
I am not a program.
Both of you are the same person you were when you were 14, Ben. You literally test programs faster than anyone I've ever seen. You'd be like, "It's been 3 months. I'm good, dog. I'm just gonna stop doing this, and I'm gonna go to the next thing and the next thing, and then you are a program hopper. You know why? Because I'll be like, Ben, why did you go out and play volleyball? That wasn't on the program. Or basketball. That wasn't volleyball. This dude is the most chronic program breaker, program rule breaker you've ever met in your entire life. I'll be like, Ben, your knees hurt. You need to stop doing the podcast where I've crashed out. Ben, go listen to that podcast again.
I did listen to that. I thought of myself.
You're literally, it's you. I'll be like, don't do that. You're not doing my program that way. Ben is out there just, I do whatever I want, dog. I know the rules so I can break the rules. Obviously not.
Funny.
Do as I say, not as I do, boys.
Yeah.
No, it's funny that you're
I'm
saying that because remember in that podcast I was saying that
even if
basically you need coaching. You need coaching. Anytime I've had periods of time while on THP, I've been like, John, I'll write my own training for this month or whatever. Like,
never works.
And inevitably we go to our base instincts, which for me is 5x5 squat. Go have multiple dunk sessions in a week. Get knee pain. No matter how much I know, no matter how much I know that I need to periodize this shit correctly. Jump once a week. Jump volume low. I know that stuff, but you need a coach. You need a coach. I don't care who you are.
It's so true, though.
It's part of the reason we don't care about giving out free information because we can give you all the tools.
Oh, dude.
You're going to just mess it up.
Yeah. I used to be the biggest hater of like giving out too much free information. Like Isaiah was like on the Gary V train and I was like, nah, Gary V. I don't like Gary V. Gary's like, oh, dude, NFTs are going to be the greatest thing in the world. Anyways. And he's like, hope more, whatever. Anyways. And then one day Isaiah made this beautiful point. He's like, dude, how many people on our program, regardless of the number of times we put it out, myself included, yourself included, Ben, don't do what I tell them to. And I'm like, dude, you make a great point. No matter how much I help these people, they don't have it within. Think.
It's human nature, bro.
What's the meme? What's that meme where you're like, he's like, his dad beats him up and he's like, think, Brian, think.
Invincible.
Yeah. It's literally that. And I think, it is human nature. Like you're going to bias, your decisions will be biased until you have someone to kind of, what would you call it? Like corral you in and communicate things that will remove your bias. It's easy to just be biased when the only person you listen to is yourself, right? Like no matter how much information you take in, having peer reviewers, like I really value. I listened to that Tyson Neil deGrasse video. Yeah, this one.
This is John, and that's me.
Yeah, he just mashed himself up. Think, Isaiah, think. Where he's like, I need to jump every day. Like, dude, the last cycle, this is a perfect example. Every Friday, and people still, I love talking about it, but it's so funny. Every Friday, we come on in a new cycle, and I'll be like, dude, this one, we're going to take off jumping. It's early in the year. We're going to focus on
it's every
volume.
Monday. It's every Monday. I'll be like, me or John will be like, this is the week. Like, we'll we'll go into next week feeling great.
Yeah, and it'll be like meso 2 of a macro, like month 2 of a whole annual plan. And I'm like, we don't need to be jumping right now. Let's focus on other qualities right now. We'll roll around.
I'm like,
Wednesday comes around. He's like, there's no way I'm gonna be jumping this week, bro. Ain't no way. I'm gonna be way too tired. And then Friday rolls around, and inevitably Isaiah's like, I feel really good today. And I had 2 cups of coffee this morning. I woke up at 7 a.m. I couldn't sleep last night. And I really kind of want to go. No, it's not even that. It's not even I want to. It's, hey, what time are we going to LA Fitness? And I'm like, dude, what did we say on Monday? Like, it's like everything we talked about goes out the window. And it is funny. I had the conversation with Nick Rossi too. He's like, oh, dude, I'm equally as bad as this. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, you dunk like once every 4 months. He's like, yeah, because I have a little bit of self-control, but I high jump way more than I should. And I jump way more than I should. And I'm like, are you deluded? I didn't know this. Like no one was telling me because I don't have this problem. Like I am able to prioritize things and kind of like understand that I can, whatever, get back to it. These guys are literally addicts. We say that for a reason. They're literally addicted to training, not training. Bro, they're addicted to jumping specifically.
I often think I don't think we understand. Nobody's ever researched it.
How addictive it is.
The implications of dunk sessions. Having that in the training plan. Like we almost have it in there because of the addiction that everybody has, but we don't know
specificity.
Bro, because think about any other sport. It wouldn't you would periodize that jump set. But us, it's like it's always that high specificity thing is always in there, and we don't know how it affects the training itself. Like I was thinking about this yesterday. I had this top 3 jumping day ever, essentially, last Friday. And I was thinking, I was like, because Monday was really bad. I was like, wait, I wonder how much that session is even affecting my Monday lift, right? I just jumped my highest ever. I cut it short, but the intensities I reached were so freaking high. Like, we don't know what the implications of that are really, like, and how it
Brother,
affects.
what you just said right there, it kind of makes me giggle, because I have in this beautiful Google Drive that was created in, I don't even know, 2013, I think is when this was made. I wrote a dunk program, and this dunk program had exactly that consideration in mind, and as a result tried to periodize it out because of the implications of jumping. And I always had that issue as a athlete, is I was like, what is the implication of me actually going out and doing a jump session? And I always took that into consideration. And then I met Isaiah, and Isaiah was like, no, I will dunk. I will be dunking. I will not be not dunking. And you need to put in my program 1, 2, 3 days a week. And I'm like, whoa. I think they're about to do my lawn. It's crazy. But you guys don't hear that, right?
I
Do you hear the
It's like
lawnmowers?
very
Background.
slight in the background.
Dang. That's okay. We can
It's
do
not
it.
that
We're
bad.
almost done.
You could probably
It's
turn your
fine.
gain up or down. Or
Yeah,
up.
I can turn it down. I'll turn it down and stand closer. Can you hear it now? Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Oh, I'm gonna shut the window. Hold on.
Oh wait, we can pause.
So we have the people are here to work on the yard, and I had to make some changes. But we found the infamous dunk program. So this is from 2000. I think I can show my drive here. There shouldn't be any issues. This is very, very old stuff. So right here, you'll see, if you guys can see my screen, it says February 28th, 2013.
We can't.
So this,
it's only sharing.
you can't see my screen?
the
Okay.
document.
Well, this is February 28th, 2013. So I wrote this program in February 2013. So this is my freshman year of college. That's when I wrote this program. And we're just going to look at it, because what I was saying is I always took into consideration the jumping intensity, because I knew that it played more of a role than what I think other people realized. So I knew dunking was important. I had to practice the skill, but you can look here, right? So this is the Monday. I never used to write stuff on Google Docs, but there's only 4 weeks here, so I didn't finish it. But I sent it to a friend for feedback, right? So I have the warm up, then I have flexibility, her mobility, plyos, weightlifting, etc. Right? Nerve monitoring. Ooh, neuromuscular monitoring. I like that. But what you'll see right here, what do you see here? Dunk progression. 8x3 step layup twice a week, right? On Mondays and Thursdays. We go to week 2. What happens? 7x4. Why am I doing that? Because I think, let me go back, my volumes are going up. So I'm increasing the volume.
No, volume's going
7x5.
And then
No. Well, the sets are going, staying at 7, but I'm doing 5. Sorry, intensity is going up. You're right. Because I'm doing 3-step and I went to 4-step.
Yeah.
Yep. So intensity is going up. I'm increasing the velocity of the run up. Sorry, I was thinking this was by 5 reps, but it was really literally 7 5-step layups. And the reason why I'm noting this is because this is the volume that in 2013 I would have thought, based on my track experience, made sense. Isaiah, and look, there's all this other plyo volume. So there's a lot of other stuff here. There's way too much volume here. I'm not even going to get into that. But Isaiah, pardon me, Isaiah would look at that and basically be like, yeah, no way. Ain't no way your boy is doing 7 layups, okay? I'm barely warm. I'm barely breaking a sweat here. I haven't even gotten to any level of intensity. And he's thinking to himself, this ain't going to make me better. But I, in the past, used to think that there were considerations that we should have made. It's just that I think by coaching Isaiah, I realized, and through researching dunking specifically, because in high jump, that's what you would do. You'd start with a 3-step, go to a 4-step, go to a 5-step, build your way back, low intensity jumps. It's month 1. By month 3 or 4, you're going to start building up the intensity of the approach, right? And that's to make sure you don't build bad habits either, because when you're not fresh and you're not jumping well, you build really bad habits in high jump. and they're called compensatory motor patterns. And it's what Fabian's working his way out of because he's had a lot of issues with it in the past. Like his readiness is better than it's ever been. He's power cleaning 150 kilos, hang power cleaning 150 kilos. He is box squatting at 96 kilos, 265 kilos, which is like 2.5 times body weight or something. He is running 10-meter fly times faster than he's ever hit them. He's hitting under a second in a 10-meter fly, under 3 seconds in a 30-meter fly, right? So like he's averaging 10 meters per second across 30 meters. Very, very, very fast, faster than he's ever been. He's lighter than he's ever been at 96 kilos. And he's now done what we call it the grass is growing. And it's where he literally jumps over a bar, and he's PR'd that by several inches. I think right now he's PR'd it by like 2 to 3 inches. He went from like 6'4" was his all-time PR to now 6'6" or 6'7". So he, on paper, across every metric, as far as stiffness metrics, velocity metrics, strength metrics, power metrics, and eccentric strength metrics, right? Because we've also done other things for eccentric strength and fast eccentric strength. He is better than he's ever been. However, he has formed these compensatory motor patterns because he's jumped poorly so many times in the past that it's hard for him to get the sensations that he needs when jumping well. And the only way he can get those is if he's jumping really well and he's very fresh. Like we're talking, Isaiah, the days where you hit like 50 inches or whatever, he has to feel that level of pop for the technique to time up, right? Like you can work on technique at 70% on 8 foot, on a behind the back between the legs. He will form the worst habits that will decrease the likelihood that he hits all-time PBs in high jump if he does that. So it's very different in that sense, where your physicality and your readiness has to be super high for you to make technical improvements, which ultimately improves your overall performance. A delicate balance. And that's why we don't jump a lot early in the year. And that was my consideration coming into coaching you is I used to consider that, but you were so well adapted to jump sessions that you would do 30 to 60 jumps, dude. I had 7. You were 10xing that a week, or 14. You were 5xing that a week.
Nah, at that time,
that's with knee pain.
At that time, it was 50 to 100
a week,
like per session.
How many times a week?
Couple times a week, probably 2 to 3.
So let's say 300, dude. I had 14 jumps. You had 300 max effort jumps.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know how many times. It's like 20x. So yeah, I'm looking at jumping saying it's super intense. You should really pay attention to the intensities. You really have to back off. I have more plyo volume in the program because I have less volume there and it's early in the year. But like later in the year, I was planning on taking those out and just jumping more. But Isaiah, he's like, no, we don't do any plyos. All we do is jumping. That is the plyo. And so when a lot of people look at my programs and they're like, oh, you've become so like weight room dominant. And I'm like, that's not necessarily what I would have initially thought. That's just the nature of coaching dunkers because they're addicts. Like you can't, and the reason I have to keep those dunk sessions in is because you guys can't do any other elastic work because you're already doing, you basically need that elastic work. And it's also very beneficial to have that elastic work. Like if we took it out, I don't think it would be beneficial at this point, because I also had sprints in there too, right? Like we don't sprint with you right now. So I've pulled that out. I've pulled the plyos out, and I found that the most volume you can do is jumping once a week, maybe plyos one other day a week. If you try to do everything, like if I put the sprints back in, if I put the plyos back in, if I put the approach work back in, and then you had a dunk session, and I had the squatting and on all those other volumes that we currently have, you would never survive. I think you can agree to that, right? Like we've seen it numerous times fail. So it's like, what is better? Is it better to take that long, slow approach and jump less? Because there's coaches that would say that is better. Like Schmarzo has always said, dunk less, do more plyos if you feel less elastic. I've not found that to be the case. In my experience, that makes you a lot worse. Like you'll actually just fry your nervous system, go the other direction. And then when you go to jump, you just feel cooked. Like in my experience, it's better to drop the weight room, increase the specificity of the jumping, and then you'll jump higher. Like that's consistently what I've seen with 2 foot specifically. 1 foot, that's a different conversation. 1 foot, I'd probably still do that. I'd do it, but over a longer period of time with more variety. 2 foot, you can be a little bit more dialed in the weight room, and I've seen it make better long-term gains for guys like you, Tony, and Donovan, stuff like that. So that's my lens on it. We're like 45 minutes in and Ben has to go, but I want to hear closing thoughts from you guys and what your thoughts are on that.
I have
go ahead.
I have a closing thought. It reminds me of the basketball scenario that I described, where the guys that make the NBA are the ones that survive. And I honestly think pro dunking is the same. It's an almost inhuman level of volume and intensity that some guys survive, and the guys that are, I think, the most obsessed with it found a way to stay healthy throughout it, right? Like for me, I could have given up at 18, 19. I almost did give up because of knee pain, but I liked it too much, and I found a way to continue doing it. Then you see guys, I'm not going to name names, but multiple guys that's super talented through the years that went through that gauntlet, and the pain became too much. They didn't survive the gauntlet. And I think it's super specific. Like, for example, like technically, we've said this before, like ideally we dunk before our lifts. That's the most specific thing. We do it 3 times a week. Then we throw in the explosive work and then the squatting and all that stuff. But
you basically replaces sprinting.
That percentage of people that are able to survive that decreases even more. So I think this is where individuality comes in. It's like, yeah, ideally you are able to do all that stuff, but chances are you're not going to survive.
I think it's too just the nature of the beast, right? Like you can't warm up in jump, and unlike sprinting, you can't do a long dynamic warm up and get to 100% right away. It's not going to happen. Like you have to have those jumps built in. There's no way to get to 100%. In 1 foot, you probably can if you're really healthy and you're really, really elastic. Yes, in that case, because the joint angles are a little bit different. It's a little bit more fluid, specifically like I think a high jump. And some days you just have it and some days you don't. It's very neurally driven. Like it's just different. But with you 2 foot guys, you guys are just so forceful and there's so much like motor recruitment where it's like you have so much more time to generate that force. And I think the motor recruitments are a lot higher as a result. And maybe there's some tendon differences there. I'm sure we could get into that another time, but it's just, I think that should be our next podcast as we dive into
almost like squatting. Like you don't do a dynamic warm up and then go try to squat 400 pounds. Like you have to like do the build ups.
Right.
Yeah. So Ben, I want to hear your closing thoughts or what you were thinking, if you can remember.
I agree with a lot of that. I think plyos can be beneficial for some athletes, especially younger athletes, but once you get really good at plyos, they probably do less and less for you, and you end up just getting hurt if you're trying to do plyos and jump volume on top of that. Or like John said, they just burn you out and your jumps just go to crap. I kind of experienced that, and I did if you saw my post 2 weeks ago, I talked about how I did a bunch of plyos with my previous programs, and I was healthy enough to jump in it on top of that, but it did not push the needle if you don't have that max strength work, that max power work in there. Like you have to have that for it to actually all come together and actually jump higher and get more athletic.
Okay, you had a thought?
One thought is a thought on what he said, and then I have an evil thought. Yeah. The first thought is because of how this last cycle is going, I have some pushback against that because I feel like
their max strength dropped, but your eccentric max strength went up, and therefore, but that's still max strength.
I tell you, my strength is probably at a year low, maybe 2-year low.
Isaiah, you should come over and we should go to Orlando by the way today. That would be fun.
That was gonna bring me to my evil thought. Is like I just got a thought of jumping today.
Oh my god.
That was my evil thought. But yeah,
can you wait till Friday? God damn, brother.
I think I can. But
I think I can. Okay, Thomas the Train.
But I think it's the don't leave any stone unturned. Right now I'm watching a course that Mike Young put together, and he says,
you know how you say Papa Hormozy? This is Papa Young.
Papa Young. He said all tides raise shit, or high tides raise all shit.
Yeah.
And
you ever hear me say that before?
Yeah,
I got it from him.
Yeah. And then multilateral approach, the other one But
Are you noticing some consistencies?
yeah. And then another thing is he talked about like, extensive tempo, running, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, and I see, not gonna name names, but I see other elite guys that haven't progressed a lot in their vertical. And I'm thinking, I went super high specificity, plateaued, used to think running is the devil, then started working with John. We're doing 5 to 10 minute jogs, before going. We're doing the sprinting and all that stuff. And I'm kind of in the multilateral approach. Don't leave any stone unturned. Are plyos bad or good? It's worth doing. It's
Yes,
worth
I
still
agree.
having it in your training.
For sure. At least GPP for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah. John's over there smiling. Everything he's ever said is just, we're all just realizing it now. He's been right all along.
Oh,
it's almost
it
as if
all
THP is the
deviates to the
best,
mean.
most
We
robust
all
program
come
out
back
there.
to the mean, baby. We all come back to the mean. No, I mean, I do think it's worth always testing stuff. And I always appreciate like your guys' feedback because it makes me think differently about things. Like, and it's funny, Ben and I will have chats and we'll be like, well, you tried this or tried this. And I'm like, yeah, I did. And it didn't work. And then it's like, but, and I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I'm willing to hear you out and I want you to test it. Like, I will literally look at Ben and be like, test it. I don't know. Test it. Like, just test it and see what happens. Yeah. And,
experience, man.
And like,
experience.
It's like good to do that sort of thing. So yeah, this is probably a good place to cut it off. Ben's got to go back to work and do his regular 9-to-5 job. And Isaiah and I have to talk Isaiah off a ledge. So if you guys are interested in getting coaching, go to THPStrength.com. Look at him. I literally saw his breathing. He went,
sign up so that we can make Ben full-time at THP.
Yeah, I know.
Enough sign up. We can get him full-time. He can be in all the podcasts.
We can do it. Exactly. I would love that. But yeah, this was fun. And we'll see you guys on tomorrow's episode. Maybe Ben can join us again. Ciao. Au revoir. Bye-bye.